Hello everyone. Hey, here we are in Module 10, and I hope you realize we only have 2 more weeks of our semester. This has been flying by, and you all have been running to keep up, and I am so impressed. I'm so impressed by you. So, Module 10. This week we don't have a whole lot to do, but what we are doing can transfer, is either going to influence strongly or can be directly transferable into our final writing project. So it's really, really important because this work, this kind of behind the scenes foundational work is so important and has such a strong impact on whether our writing is going to be effective or not. We have to do a lot of thinking, a lot of consideration, a lot of organizing, even before we put pen to paper. Okay, so I'm going to post this right up here, but right now, let's look at what we're doing. I've already mentioned this in our last week's module video, but it is incredibly important for this assignment to get to know our chosen audience. Because remember, you are choosing the audience, the group of people, the group of specific people. So it is not going to be anyone who cares about social media, anyone who cares about fitness or anything like that. You are choosing a very specific demographic that you are going to cater your persuasion to. That's when you have the strongest and most compelling arguments. And persuasion is when you cater it to your audience. And so we are going to pick a very specific audience. In fact, we are going to create an avatar, we're going to imagine an avatar and describe it. A very specific person that we are trying to persuade. And again, we're not preaching to the choir. So you need to pick a group of people who do not think this is an issue, or maybe aren't aware of it, or maybe need some persuasion at some level. Okay, and so think about that. Read over this, read over the assignment, but read over this because it's really important to, we're going to use this worksheet to get to know our audience, because that's going to determine the type of style of writing. Okay, that's going to determine the type of evidence that we bring in. That's going to determine whether we write in first person, which is more intimate, more conversational for somebody, like more for an audience that's more like a peer, or maybe somebody younger or less knowledgeable than us. Or it's going to be in third person if you've chosen a more professional or academic audience. And so all of these, getting to know your audience is going to affect all of these choices that we have as a writer. And so we're going to fill out this worksheet. Who is my audience? What do I already know about them? All of those kind of things. And then what is the purpose? This is really important too. No matter what goal you have, no matter what act you are engaging with, you want to know and state, okay, what is the purpose? Because it's really easy to go through the motions and step out on the other side thinking, what the hell did I just do? What is going on? The result is something a little vague, a little mushy, not really compelling. So name your purpose. What are you going to try to persuade this audience to believe? What do you want? What is the goal? What do you want? What kind of change do you want to take place within this audience? Okay, so you're going to do that. And then at the end of the table, you're also going to, right here, describe an avatar. Okay, describe this person, describe this audience member. Maybe it is a person maybe it is an older white male who attends your congregation. Okay, if you're a part of a congregation of some kind, maybe that is your audience. That avatar represents the audience that you are going to cater your writing to. Okay, get that in there because that is important. And then don't just turn it in, forget about it. Let every choice you make be based on that audience. Okay, and what this is, using MEAT is an acronym that stands for main idea, evidence, analysis, and then tying it all together. Okay, it's really important to think about organization, and this is a little reminder or a little guide on how to do that. Okay, with every paragraph and with the entire essay, think about, okay, what is the main idea for the entire essay? Is going to be that thesis. But for every paragraph or section, you're also going to open that with a main idea, with your voice. Don't open paragraphs with a source. Open with your voice, with the topic sentence, with a little explanation of the claim that you're making, and then bring in your evidence. Okay, your voice is key. Your voice needs to open and your voice needs to close each point. So you share your point, then you bring in the evidence from sources, or maybe your audience would appreciate personal experience more. Let me tell you, an academic or professional audience might not. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for that. And then when you share evidence, when you share a quote, when you share a story, always follow it up with explanation. Always talk about it. Don't assume the reader is going to take from it what you want them to take from it, because it makes sense in your head, but their head is very different than yours. Their way of thinking, their way of seeing the world is very different from yours. Thus, the need to persuade them. And so make sure you talk to them. Okay? Don't talk down. Don't be rude to anybody who doesn't agree with you. You want to persuade them. That's the goal. So talk about your evidence. Talk about your stories. Talk about this data from the sources, and then tie it back to your thesis. Okay? But apply that method continually. The next thing, this is kind of fun. I love this TED Talk by Malcolm Gladwell. And he shares a story of this, story of David and Goliath, which is quite common in religion, in Christianity, and also just has become a pretty general metaphor for, the small person, going after the big giant and succeeding. But he shares it very differently. He shares information that's not readily known. And so the thing is with TED Talks is they also, any kind of talk, a lot of times they are structured in the same way an argumentative essay will be. So I'm going to ask you to watch this. It's really interesting, really interesting. But also follow along as you look at the organization, because this is the type of organization we're going to mirror. You're going to have your thesis. You're going to start off with an introduction where you start off broad and then narrow in on your thesis. And then the body, you're going to have different points, different reasons that your thesis is legit, that you're trying to use to persuade your audience. You're going to explain that. And then you're going to bring in the evidence, and then you're going to explain the evidence, right? Then you're going to present a second point or a second little subclaim. And then you're going to bring in the evidence and you're going to talk about it. And then the conclusion. So look at that, because because then you're going to come up with an outline for your own paper. Okay, what are your plans? Write out your plans. And then once you have an outline, once you have a plan, it's much easier to think, okay, right now I'm just going to work on my introduction. Okay, right now I'm going to just work on my, first section or my second section. And it makes it really a lot easier. It's like eating an elephant. You do it one bite at a time. You can separate this out into one section or one bite at a time that you can work on. And that makes it so much easier. And anyway, and then that's all we have for this week. Let me go back out here to modules. And then next week, just to look ahead, where are we? There we are. I am so confused, you all. All right, so that is for this week, but looking ahead next week, we're going right into a peer review, okay? So start writing this down. Use your outline to start writing your rough draft. Let me know if you have any questions. Come visit me during my office hours on Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons. Let me know how I can best help you, okay? Have a great week.